Mountains rising straight from the sea, endless fjords carving their way through the landscape, and tiny fishing villages packed with history, their colourful cabins reflecting in the crystal blue waters. This is our journey to a place that feels remote and rugged, yet so peaceful. This is Bunes Beach, Norway. Okay, we are about to head out on a pretty spontaneous trip to an epic beach. I'm super excited, we're all packed up, let's go. Ready to do it? Here we go. We start our journey in the popular village of Rain, surrounded by towering peaks and calm waters. Myself, Jonas, and Silvio will be taking the ferry from Rain to Vinstad. Unreal, here we go. Can you tell me about how much the ferry just cost us?
Cheapest chips.
Okay, so we were expecting the ferry to be, 30, 40 euros per person? And then we got here and it ended up being 4 euros per person each way. So 8 euros each to go round trip to Vinstad. Unreal. As we paid for our tickets and boarded the ferry, we didn't realize we were in for such a surprise. This ferry trip is one of the most scenic I've ever taken, moving beneath the sharp peaks and deeper into the fjord. We couldn't have asked for a more perfect day. We shortly arrived in Kirkfjord, meaning Church Fjord. This is another small and peaceful fishing village with colourful houses sitting along the shore. Visitors can enjoy hiking trails that lead to nearby beaches and vantage points, but this isn't our stop quite yet. We can't help but to photograph more of the stunning journey as we head towards our destination, Vinstad. We have just arrived in Vinstad, and honestly, the ferry trip alone was worth the journey. We were on it for about 30 minutes and it dropped us off here. So 8 euros round trip. That was honestly the most incredible ferry trip I've ever taken. We watched the ferry depart and were surrounded by the picturesque houses and quiet charm of the village. The weather is so perfect and calm, it feels surreal. The hike begins. We're gonna head straight up to Bunes Beach, drop off all of our camp gear, and then hopefully head up here for the sunset. This is so stunning. The trail is flat and beautiful. Around each corner, the turquoise water of the fjords peeks through. First look at the beach. Wow, this is huge. This peak behind me is absolutely massive. We're gonna go and find a little place to camp down here. We're gonna try and set up a spot down there. I think that will be covered out of the wind. So Jonas and I don't actually have a tent on this trip. We weren't expecting to do an overnight hike like this. So we're just gonna be cowboy camping, which is just laying on the ground in sleeping bags. So I'm hoping we can find somewhere that's out of the wind and sheltered for the night. And fingers crossed, the weather doesn't turn on us. We found a nice spot to set up camp and lay out our sleeping bags and just take a moment to enjoy the quiet. The sound of the waves and distant birds made it feel like we'd stepped into another world. After watching Silvio struggle to figure out how to put his tent together, we geared up for our next big hike. So we're all set up camp behind me here and we're about to head up and hike Helvetestinden mountain. Hopefully I didn't butcher the pronunciation, but it literally means Hell Mountain. It's the one right behind me here. The trail is steep and quite technical, heading straight up through a boulder field surrounded by majestic peaks. We took our time and enjoyed the views of the fjords below while catching our breath. We've just reached the ridge before the final push, and wow, these views are insane. So unfortunately, we've run into a bit of a problem. I am terrified of heights, and this is really exposed. You can kind of see Silvio up there leading the way, but it's not looking really good for me. There was one section that I just did that I'd like hold on to Jonas's backpack to get through because it drops off on both sides right here, and this side is even worse, which is such a bummer. Bit of a bummer. So Jonas is packing to go up. I'm gonna wait here. So the views are still nice. You can still see to the beach down this way, which is nice, but it's definitely not views that I'd hoped for. And for those of you wondering, yes, we did check the trail map and check the exposure, and everything looked pretty decent. There was a lot of people talking about moderate exposure, which I was kind of prepared for, but it's just a little bit out of my comfort zone. It's super frustrating.
Even though I couldn't carry on, I was able to enjoy some time alone with the sweeping views and the mountains glowing in the golden light. I set up my camera and just sat there for a while, soaking in the peace and quiet while the boys went a little further toward the summit.
Little section here with quite a bit of exposure, and that's what got me. That was the first section that you kind of have to walk along this little side. All of this is a sheer drop, and now we're gonna try and punch it down to the beach, catch the sunset from down there, all the way back.
As the light got softer, we couldn't help but to stop and enjoy the views before our descent. But as the sun began to drop fast, it was time to really hustle.
Go, 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 go. We just ran all the way down from this peak, up and over this ridge, down a bunch of stairs, across this 1.5 kilometer beach, just to get this frame. Do we think it was worth it? That's it.
After capturing the final glow at this cool little cabin, we wandered back to camp along the beachfront, watching the waves gently lap on the sands beneath the towering peaks.
Okay, we literally just ran down the mountain to go and shoot this little red hut behind me here. The sunset was amazing. The peaks are glowing. Oh man. Even though I didn't make it up to the summit, it still feels really nice to be out here. I'm super thankful to have the opportunity to come to places like this. Wow. It's time to head back and grab a bite to eat. Maybe start a little campfire and get cozy for the night.
The morning brings a beautiful sunrise, lighting up the mountains and the beach. There was something so special about waking up in a sleeping bag and watching the clouds light up and drift slowly across the sky.
Good morning from Bunes Beach. We had a pretty decent sleep. The wind picked up pretty early on in the night, so Jonas and I moved to be sheltered from the wind, and we set our alarms for every couple hours to check the sky for the aurora because it was pretty clear, but unfortunately no aurora. Still a beautiful starry night. We've just packed up. It's about 9:30 right now, so we're gonna head back to the ferry and head back to rain.
As we began our hike out, this was one of those places that was hard to leave behind, with the mountains, the beach, and the fjord all covered in the warm, glowing light. As soon as we reached the village, we were greeted by a friendly local who was also having a really nice morning. Walking back through the beautiful village of Vinstad in the soft, glowing light, it's hard not to feel grateful for the chance to explore places like this. Even with a sore back and tired eyes, I couldn't stop smiling. Sometimes the simple joy of being out in nature with friends is all you need to feel recharged and reconnected. We each took some time to really soak in the last of the views and appreciate our surroundings. As we boarded the ferry, our adventure comes to an end. We've made some incredible memories along the way, and it feels amazing to have shared this journey together.
We've just boarded the ferry after an amazing night on Bunes Beach. I can't recommend doing this enough if you're visiting Lofoten. Thanks for coming along, and I'll see you in the next one.